This happened to me on Thanksgiving 2 years ago. I remember the date clearly because I was recovering from a nasty respiratory bug that had kept me bedridden for days. The fever had broken, but I was still coughing nonstop, my throat raw, and chills running through me every few minutes. I could barely speak without hacking. A friend from work had asked me to watch her elderly cat over the holidays while she visited family. The cat needed daily medication, and since her apartment was just a short walk from our workplace, I'd agreed without hesitation. I couldn't back out now, even if I felt like death. Around the same time, another friend and I had been talking about playing tennis and bowling like we did in high school. I'd left my rackets and bowling ball at my dad's house upstate since my tiny city dorm had no room. I hadn't been home in months, and I was determined to grab them while I was already out. If I waited, it'd be another season before we could play. I had no car, just public transit, so my plan was simple: take the light rail to a stop near. My dad was to have my brother drop off the gear, then catch the bus to my friend's apartment on the way back. The buses were running late that evening. Apple Maps kept teasing me. Bus arriving in 1 minute, then nothing. Refresh, and it jumped to 15 minutes. I waited over half an hour at an empty stop around 9 p.m. Thanksgiving meant the streets were quiet, almost deserted. I was 19, female, about 5'3", bundled in a thick jacket, carrying a 13-pound bowling ball, tennis rackets, and leftovers in a bag. Walking wasn't an option. I'd have collapsed halfway. A car pulled up nearby. A group of young men in their 20s spilled out, laughing and chatting in a language I didn't recognize. I assumed they were just dropping someone off. One got out, the car drove away, and he headed toward the bench. I kept my distance, coughing into my sleeve, staring at my phone. But he sat right next to me. I ignored it, pretending to check bus times. Then I felt an arm around my shoulder tight, sudden. My brain froze. He mumbled something about me being okay. I whispered that I was fine, just waiting for the bus. After a minute, he let go. I told myself he was trying to help, maybe concerned about my coughing, but deep down, I knew it was wrong. He was huge, over 6 feet, heavy build, and wore a bandana over his face. COVID remnants, sure, but it felt off. We were completely alone. A few minutes later, he did it again, arm around me, hand stroking my back. My puffer jacket blocked most of it, but the intent was clear. Red flags screamed, but I stayed still. Running or yelling seemed pointless. He'd catch me easily. Finally, the bus lights appeared. I slipped free and said, "My bus is here." He replied in a way that made it obvious he planned to board too. On the bus, I stood deliberately. He sat. I texted a friend, heart pounding, debating calling the police, but too scared he'd overhear or react. I couldn't go to the cat's apartment. What if his friends were waiting? Instead, I planned to get off at my old workplace, a big outdoor shopping center with constant security cameras and night staff closing up. The bus stop was near the employee entrance. The back trash area door was sometimes propped open, and I knew the code. When we arrived, he grabbed my shoulder again, tighter. I shuffled slowly, pretending to go along. As we neared the entrance, luck hit. The trash door was open, and 2 coworkers were chatting outside, holding the employee door ajar. I bolted, slipped his grip, ran past them, gasping, closed the door. Some guys following me. They slammed it shut. Seconds later, the handle rattled violently, banging, echoing. I explained everything, voice barely working. We called security. The man paced outside the restaurant windows, then wandered into a nearby ice cream shop. Security questioned me. One coworker drove me to the cat's place, then home. Days later, my manager said security asked if I wanted to press charges. I wanted his name and story, but nothing came of it. I still have no idea what he wanted, but the possibilities haunt me. Recently, the same friend asked me to cat sit again. I politely declined. This occurred in early December 2 years ago. I drove up into the remote mountains to visit an old friend I hadn't seen since high school. Let's call him Ethan. We'd been close as kids, but life pulled us apart. He moved to a small mountain town with his family, while I stayed in the city for work. No drama, just distance. When he suddenly invited me for a weekend, saying the fresh snow made it perfect, I felt nostalgic and agreed. The drive was long and slow on icy roads, with no other cars in sight. By the time I arrived, it was pitch black. Ethan's house was an old wooden cabin on the mountainside, isolated, with only a few distant neighbors. He greeted me outside, but something felt wrong. His speech was slower, more hesitant, with long pauses. His eyes didn't meet mine much. I blamed years of solitude. Inside, the place was sparse: a couch, table, chairs, and old wall hangings. He said I'd sleep on the pull-out couch. The hallway opposite was long and dark, doors open to empty rooms. His grandparents' old place, he explained. They'd passed recently, and he lived alone now. We caught up briefly, but the conversation felt forced. He seemed distracted, glancing toward the hallway. That night, around 2 a.m., I woke to heavy footsteps overhead fast, sprinting back and forth, then silence. No door, no nothing. I dismissed it as the house settling. The next day was worse. Ethan barely spoke, barely ate, and kept wandering down the hallway. I never followed him. I assumed bathroom trips, but no flesh ever followed. That evening, a snowstorm hit. Wind howled, shaking the walls. I left the cozy isolation, but around 2 a.m. again, I woke to scraping sounds in the hallway, like something dragging across wood. Then a sharp tap on the wall behind me. I looked into the pitch-black hall. Nothing. I rolled over, telling myself it was the storm. The third night, my unease peaked. Ethan stared at me too long, like he was watching for a reaction. After dinner, he went upstairs early. I tried sleeping, but woke around 2 a.m. to full sleep paralysis, body locked, eyes open, panic rising. Then I saw movement. At the hallway's end, a tall silhouette stood motionless, arms limp, facing me. It was Ethan, or at least his shape. He stayed there for a full minute, silent. Then he turned and walked into the guest room without a sound. My body unlocked slowly. I whispered his name, no answer. I crept down the hall. The room was empty, except for a figure in the corner by the window, staring out into the snow. I backed out, raced upstairs, and shook Ethan awake. He looked confused, irritated. I begged him to check downstairs. He refused, expression shifting to something knowing, almost resigned. "Who's down there?" I demanded. He just shrugged. I grabbed my things and fled into the storm. As I backed out, I glanced back. In the guest room window, the same silhouette watched me leave. Ethan stopped replying to my texts after that. I threatened a wellness check. He finally said, "I'm fine," nothing more. That wasn't the Ethan I knew. Whatever or whoever was in that house, I never want to find out. If you're hooked on stories like these that keep you up at night, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more true horror experiences. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.